Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. If you want to watch more commentary on Survivor, please subscribe to my channel and become a patron. It's pretty hard to be consistent making videos when I have another job as well, but I'm trying to post at least one video per week for all of you. I have a lot of interesting ideas for different videos, so stay tuned for more. I'm also keen if you have any ideas for content. I also like the idea of doing socio-political type videos, and going into depth on how certain controversial issues have been covered in Survivor. I know some of that stuff is controversial and not everyone's cup of tea, so I do plan on doing some more light-hearted videos as well. This time I'm going to talk about the real reason why Danni was voted out in Winners at War, and what we didn't see behind the scenes.
I played a very loyal game with great alliances, and I thought I had some of that forming in this game, and clearly all of a sudden I didn't.
Danni came into the season as a huge question mark. She apparently hid her entire strategy from production in Guatemala and hadn't played for a long time, so the fans really had no idea what to expect from her. Pretty much her entire Survivor reputation was on the line, unlike other players who still had a strong reputation to fall back on, even after a pretty disappointing season.
Give me your 2 fire tokens and I will hand you an immunity.
This also meant that Danni wasn't someone that the show was going to go out of its way to edit in a positive way or try to maintain her image, at the expense of the better known players around her. As I've mentioned in previous videos, in returning player seasons, it's often very obvious who the editors and the production see as expendable. Who are the characters that the show has been built around, and they want to show in a positive light. In Winners at War, it is clear that some players are always going to come off looking like a fool in every situation.
You never know when it's gonna happen. And it was like, dude.
It's like we were talking at the school year.
Nick is killing me though.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that it's always the people with a lesser name to start off with. Players like Nick, Wendell, Adam, Ben, and Danni will always be portrayed throughout the season as making bad moves and looking silly. Besides a couple of examples where players proved otherwise, the player came into the season as a bit of a question mark. They were going to leave the show looking worse than they probably were in reality. Danni is a good example of this in Winners at War. She's basically given no edit, and in the few moments we do see of her, she is portrayed as a paranoid mess who is making poor strategic decisions.
The other day, he said, he wanted to stay old school strong, but it was a short conversation.
You know he's not.
Yeah, you know I'm not an old schooler, right?
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean...
A little awkward.
No.
Oh my god.
Her boot episode is probably one of the most misleading exits in Survivor history. Her entire reputation of being a sneaky and savvy game player comes crashing down in one massive flameout.
Danni came up with the plan to vote out Parvati. I mean, Danni, Parvati is my number one.
This isn't just some random third boot who is having their game completely misrepresented. This is one of Survivor's classic winners, and this show basically treats her terribly. In the episode, out of nowhere, she suddenly has a confessional saying she feels on the outs, and is upset that she isn't included in her old school alliance.
I feel like I've been left out, and now I'm not even sure about my old school alliance. I feel like it's me going home tonight.
From what we've seen at this point in the show, her name hasn't appeared to come up, so Danni's read on the situation looks completely illogical and inaccurate.
I know I'm on the outs, and I know that it's more likely me, and
I don't feel that way.
and here's the thing, I feel like Parvati completely flipped on me.
We suddenly see her spilling the beans to other players that she has heard that Parvati isn't close to her anymore, and she feels on the outs, and wants to vote Parvati out. From what viewers are watching, it looks like Danni is completely self-imploding her game for no reason. According to interviews of Danni and other players who were on her tribe at the time, there's a long backstory that actually explains why Danni made the move she made, which we don't see on TV. The long story short is that she actually was being targeted by the old school players, and her read on Parvati portraying her was spot on. So during the first vote, Danni and Parvati were a very tight pair. Danni was originally suggesting that Michelle be voted out first, but Parvati and the rest of the alliance wanted Natalie gone. My guess is that the rest of the tribe wanted to break up a tight pair in Jeremy and Natalie, and Danni thought getting rid of Michelle would be the best move, since Michelle was less connected and it wouldn't burn bridges.
I feel so paranoid. I don't know. I know.
Playing with winners definitely makes everybody a little more paranoid.
So Danni goes along with the rest of the tribe, even though she didn't actually want Natalie to go. So I tried to research a reason why this next thing happens, but couldn't actually find any answers. So according to interviews, the next day, Ben tells Jeremy that Danni was the one he came up with a Natalie vote, when it was actually Parvati. Ben seemed to have a history of throwing Danni under the bus for little to no reason.
Danni.
Danny threw out my
Yeah.
name? Why? What she said?
Because you're bossing Rob. But here's my information. There you go, bud. You got it.
After hearing that Danni was the reason Natalie went home, Jeremy went off on her. He also accused her of going through his bag to look if he had gotten an extra token from Natalie. According to Danni, she never did this, but Jeremy had basically written her off as an ally at this point. Parvati and the other old schoolers already felt like they were in danger. They leapt onto this target that Danni was given to save themselves, and all agreed to paint Danni as the mastermind of Natalie's demise. This is very different than what we were shown in the episode.
Danny and I, the first day that we hit the beach, we were talking, we were connecting, but now she's coming after me. So it's weird.
What you heard?
Yeah, man. What the hell?
Rob, Parvati, and Ethan were the ones who flipped on Danni in order to save themselves. Adam was apparently one of Danni's biggest supporters out there, and he basically told her that her best option was to try and get Parvati out. This makes sense, as in the episode we see Adam being the one still keen on taking Parvati out and trying to turn the tables around.
Honestly, if I had my choice, it would be Parvati is a massive threat in this game, but she is super tight with Boston Rob.
So the paranoia that Danni is presented in the show to have actually came from Zoman, and wasn't just her being delusional. The tribe had been calling her out about the false Jeremy bag accusation, and spreading rumors that she was secretly masterminding votes. She was in a terrible spot and became an easy punching bag for everyone to land on and vote out, even though it wasn't actually her fault. Apparently Adam and Jeremy even texted Danni after the episode, saying how unfair the edit was, and how Danni had no choice in the situation, then to also try and turn on the old school crew.
It's been 14 years since I've played, and the game has changed a lot, and I'm trying to adapt to that right now.
I think the edit was very much trying to protect the old school players, like Rob, Parvati, and Ethan. They wanted the viewers to see their downfall as them being victims of the numbers, so people still saw them as legendary players. Danni, on the other hand, wasn't as well remembered, so the show didn't mind giving her a bad edit at the expense of accurately portraying what happened. It's a shame we didn't actually see the old school alliance turn on each other, because then the narrative that they were screwed from the beginning and had no chance would have been less prevalent throughout the season.
It stinks. I don't like it. We never got off the ground, any of us. Look at everybody here. It's all the old school players.
Also, I feel like Parvati screwing over an ally like that is peak Parvati and would have been great to see. We never really see that villain side of Parvati pop out when it's at war, and half of her confessionals were about her babies. So returning to that just for one moment in her betrayal of Danni would have been iconic.
It's a little strange to be playing this game, connecting over babies. But Rob's he left 4 kids.
Yeah, he left 4 too.
Danni basically went the rest of the season, gained very little airtime. Even at the family visit, where every other player on the edge gets a small confessional about their loved one, Danni is the only player out of the 9 to not get any.
Oh my God, this is the greatest day ever!
It's pretty disrespectful to one of the great winners of Early Survivor. Also, the fact that Guatemala is known for basically being ignored in the history of Survivor, as nobody has returned from that season, doesn't help. I guess you could say Stephanie returned in Heroes as villains, but that was entirely on the back of her game in Palau. So this just adds salt to the wound, in that an entire cast of people were excited to finally have some representation, only for Danni to have such a bad edit.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. The battle to get back in the game. We get this little scroll that gives us the layout of how to spend fire tokens.
So what was the point of this video? I've always felt frustrated about the debate on Danni's game. A lot of people have seemed to decide that her poor showing of winners at war made it clear that she was never a good player, and had just locked into her win in Guatemala. I don't think that's fair, and believe that Danni deserves a lot more respect in the Survivor community. She managed to survive in her first season, where she was the last left from her original tribe, against 5 other people, using a combination of her social, strategic, and physical game. Sure, she was an early boot in Winners at War, but that shouldn't tarnish her legacy. Are you a Danni fan? Do you think she's under or overrated? Maybe you just don't really remember much about her at all. Regardless of your views, I hope we can all have a healthy discussion in the comments. Please remember to stay safe, have a great day, and stay eager.